It's Let's Talk Southwest Florida podcast. And today we have Sandy Stilwell Youngquist. Nice to have you in, Sandy.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
It's a pleasure because I've known you for a little bit, but I don't know you that well. And I'm excited about this because even though we don't know each other that well, you're very well known in Southwest Florida, whether you know it or not, and very well respected. And, you know, it's understanding why. I mean, you're a very influential entrepreneur and philanthropist. I know you're a big time giver because some of the people that I've talked to say that.
Oh, thank you.
And they say you have an incredible heart. Angela Melvin from Valerie's House says, breaking the mold for women. What used to be a man's world, I'm pro-woman because I got 4 of them at home. So I'm very pro-woman. She broke the mold. That's what Angela Melvin said.
Oh, that's so nice.
Business savvy. We all know that. You're successful. You've got incredible restaurant holdings and real estate holdings. You always have. And I don't know if a lot of people know that in Southwest Florida, because I think a lot of people see you as someone in the nonprofit world of giving, helping, serving on a lot of boards, but they don't know how much of a powerhouse you are too as a woman and as a business entrepreneur, and not blowing smoke. It's the truth. So this is about you, a survivor, always thinking, Angela said. Couple other people, Jenny Saletti from Pace Center for Girls, which I know you've always been passionate about. And you serve on a national level for Pace Center for Girls, don't you?
Yes, correct.
And you used to sit locally. You've always sat locally.
Yes.
And Jenny says, Mike, she's my go-to person. When I have something that's on my mind, something serious or whatever it might be, she's just been huge for me to go to and call and know that I have someone like Sandy to turn to, someone that is going to give me incredible knowledge, extremely generous, kind, graceful, very positive, a big time giver. And with everything that you've had going, because you've been going through a lot, we all have with these storms, but being a business entrepreneur, someone in the business world with all your restaurants on Sanibel and Captiva and your holdings in real estate and other places, you've been pretty busy, but you've always put other people first before yourself.
Thank you.
Jenny was telling me about, there was something that after one of the storms, I think somebody at Pace Center was getting married. And they had a shower.
Margot, it was at my house. Yeah.
And Margot's an incredible gal.
She is.
And someone, again, that thinks very much of you and fond of you, but you put everything aside, all your things going on in your world, and you put Margot and Pace Center for Girls first. And that's who you are.
It was fun to do, actually, because it was within 2 weeks after Irma. And it was really kind of crazy that we were going to throw a bridal shower. But you know what? We did, because we just did. So I'm able to segment things and just kind of compartmentalize and say, okay, I'm going to focus on this and do it and get it done. And we had fun. And you know what? It was really good for me because I wasn't, because after the hurricane, as you know, all that storm sludge, it was just messy and, just trudging around that day after day. It was really nice to plan something fun and for Margot, because she means so much to me. She's the person that is in charge of all the fundraising and development. And so we work hand in hand a lot. And we were so thrilled, and we weren't going to put it off. We said, no, we're going to do it, So.
Well, I sit here with you today, and I look at your beautiful smile. And the one word, too, that everybody says, classy woman.
That's sweet.
Fantastic.
I'm kind of like a little embarrassed. That's nice to have things said about you like that. That's really an honor.
The people that know you, and you've been around Southwest Florida for a long time. Did you grow up here?
I did. We moved here when I was just 2.5. So I've seen it grow over the years. It's just amazing.
Where'd you go to high school?
Cypress Lake High.
You went to Cypress?
Yeah.
Fort Myers?
Did you? How about that? Yes.
But, it's a small town.
It is.
Back when we were a little bit younger, and we're still young.
Yes.
So we still got a lot to do in the Southwest Florida, but hopefully you're going to be enjoying your life too. I know you always have, but You've always, again, put people first and this community first. I've been in the nonprofit a little bit, but nothing like people like you. But when I got involved with Valerie's House, I saw people like you and it inspired me. It inspired me to want to give back, because there's more to this community in Southwest Florida and work than just going out there and making money and selling homes and, business. And it's about our community. And you've always stood for that. And you've always done that. And that's what's so amazing about you. And the people that you surround yourself with. Good friend of mine and client, Brian Rist, I know he speaks extremely highly of you. And Tim, your other half.
Yeah.
Everybody knows Tim Youngquist. We're not going to get into Tim because this is about you. But you make Tim better.
God, thank you.
Pretty great man himself, him and his brother Harvey, and what they've done for Southwest Florida, but make a great team, powerhouse. So he's a lucky man. Sandy is a champion of giving back. That's some of the words that I've highlighted through Pace Center of Girls. Chairs many fundraising events. You've always done that. Yachts of Hope. Never really heard of that. Does that still go on? You still do
No, we haven't. Because we did it for about 2-3 years in a row, and then it's time to sunset that for a while and pick it up again later, possibly. Yeah. But it was my brainchild because we were at Gulf Harbor, and the beautiful harbor with all the boats, and we could open up their boats and give tours, and we had the event, and we raised a lot of money. So it was great.
Well, when you're in the room, I mean, that's what you do best, is get people involved. And that's what's great about having you in that room with all those people that want to give. You just inspire them that much more to give. Can you start by sharing a little bit about your journey? Growing up here in Fort Myers, working in your parents' business, and starting your first company at 17 years old. Yeah. I mean, I don't know about the rest of these people out here, but I wasn't thinking about business at 17 years old. So again, an entrepreneur, savvy business person, and, again, where you're at today. So what about your journey?
Oh, well, we moved to Southwest Florida when I was, just a little girl, and we were one of the original settlers of Cape Coral. And so there were more, canals and alligators than there were people back then. And there was no Cape Coral Bridge. We had to go through North Fort Myers. Yeah. And so my first school was actually J. Colon English in North Fort Myers because we didn't have the schools or the bridges. And so it's been fun to watch it grow up to what it is. I'm still astounded with how much it's grown. And now a lot of banks, a lot of people, a lot of stores, they're all looking to focus in on Cape Coral and have a division there, which before that was never the case.
Never the case, but Cape Coral's changed a lot. It's going to continue to change.
It is. And I always knew my parents were saving up for something, and it was to save up to build a hotel at Fort Myers Beach. And so when I was around 12, we knew that, they purchased the land, and it had an existing building, and they moved it off and built, which is now where the Margaritaville is.
Really?
Yes. And
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was the Eventide Hotel, and then it turned into the Ramada Inn. And then later on, and it remained even all through Charlie, all the other hurricanes, the other ones, that one remained. They actually took it down to make room for right where the pool is at Margaritaville. That's where the hotel was.
That's amazing. I didn't know that.
So I was a built-in unpaid maid, and I worked the front desk, and it was one of those things, and it was at a time 10 of the hotels were being built at Fort Myers Beach. So and we missed the season, so we were opening up at the off season. So we were renting rooms for $12 a night back then, if you can believe it. And so I always knew I wanted to. I loved the people business. Yeah. I enjoyed customer service. Everybody has their own personality, but I knew I would, wanted to be self-employed. Yeah. And so by path of knowing how to clean, I ended up at my church. I met a bank president there, and he was talking about how he needed somebody to clean his banks. Yeah. And so I decided to start a cleaning service. And
17?
17, yeah. And so I was still working for my parents at their hotel and cleaning banks at night. And as a matter of fact, I have to tell you, this very building, I used to clean
Really?
that were in. Yes, when I pulled up, I thought, that is so funny. And so I had contracts with that. I had a partner, and we divided things up and our responsibilities and stuff. And then I knew that wasn't my destiny, but it was going to get me there. And then it kind of launched me into I sold my share out of that, and then I got into the hotel business, and
Gosh.
yes, and I had
That's
a partner
amazing.
there, and so then I sold that one, and then I was about 20. My son was just born. I was 23, and then we had Captran that was going and buying all the interval, hotels and turning them into interval ownership.
Yeah.
And
Timeshare.
timeshare.
Yeah.
And so they made us.
Probably when timeshare started too, right?
It was, yeah. They had just already done, I think, maybe 1 or 2 on Fort Myers Beach before us.
Yeah.
And they were very successful projects. And so they made us a good offer. And so Keith Trowbridge was the one that
Who started timeshare pretty much, didn't he?
Yeah, the father. And so he always jokes and said, he would say, and that he made, helped me make my first million. Well, maybe the sales price was $1 million, but I still had a mortgage to pay off and a lot of taxes. So, you kind of like learn the tax man comes along too. So I kind of a rude awakening on that. But it did introduce me to the person that owned the real estate company, which was Jim Newton.
Okay.
And common friend.
Yeah.
And so he approached us about coming to work for him because he suddenly had all these condominiums going on up on Fort Myers Beach, and he had a lot of rentals, people that, so he knows how to sell, but he really wasn't so sure about all the rental divisions. It was very, property management is a tough business.
Yeah.
And so he wanted to know if we wanted to go to work for him. And I was like, no, but I'll be your partner. So we were 50-50 partners. And then he mentored me. So, my parents, they mentored me, and my grandparents. But it's so different when you have somebody that is not related to and is just a friend or somebody and he really did he said, every day you're not going to make everybody happy. Don't even think that your day of success is going to be about everybody's happy with you, because 10% at least are going to have some complaint at some point. Don't let it get you down.
Yeah.
And always be true to your word.
Yeah.
Try to work out whatever you can.
Yeah.
And he just helped me along. And of course, his mentor was Thomas Edison, Harvey Firestone, Henry Ford. The best man in his wedding was Charles Lindbergh.
Oh, my God.
And so he was around greats at the time that he was about my age, around, 19 to 23, 24. It was when he started the friendship with them that turned into a lifelong friendship for them. And so he kind of extended that same mentorship to me, and which I like. And now I extend it to young people.
That's great.
And I try to kind of pass the baton and, pay it forward a little bit.
Well, I think I think you found the fountain of youth. You're a beautiful lady.
Oh, you're sweet. Thank you.
You're a beautiful lady, and the smile, everything about you just light up a room. And I've always seen that in you, the little things that I've been around that you've been at, and you've been at a lot of things, events and all that. But whenever I've seen you, it's kind of one of those, you just light up a room.
Oh, thanks.
You do. So as far as your journey goes, you talked about some of those people in your life. What are some other ones that maybe had some influence on you and might today even? Because there's other great people around this community that I know you network with that inspire you just like you inspire them.
Well, I do think the key to success is surrounding yourself with people that you're very like-minded. And I found a great group of friends that were ladies that I would hang out with. And Marietta Mudgett, she was the president of the Fort Myers Chamber way back, and we would have like a group, and it was Laylee Hamrick, and there was just a whole group that we would get together. She started the, which is now the children's, the whole children's health centers.
Oh, yeah.
She was instrumental as the one that started, it was Samara Beckwith, Hope Hospice. There was a whole group.
I've met Samara. Samara's a really incredible lady, too.
She's a powerhouse. There's no doubt. We would, just have lunch and just share ideas. Carol Huther, who was the publisher of the News Press, and we would just hang out. So I was like a sponge, trying to just learn as much, ask a lot of questions, and not talk so much, just listen a lot, which was really great. I think that's important, and having a good network of friends. And sometimes if I had a challenge, they come up with ideas. And but at some point, in the hotel business, I bought another hotel. I would buy and sell properties and condos and different real estate investments. And I really enjoyed the property management. But we only stayed in that for about 3 years, I think, when Jim Newton had the opportunity to sell his company.
Yeah.
And so it was a perfect time to go back into the hotel business, which was really my love.
Yeah.
But at some point, the hotel business and the restaurant business kind of interconnect if it's a large enough hotel. And I realized very quickly that I didn't really know anything about the restaurant business. And so I had
Not an easy business.
No, it's not at all. And
You got how many right now? 4, 5?
I have 7. Yeah, it will be the 7th coming up. Yes.
Yeah.
And
Nobody knows about that?
yeah. I'll talk about it when we get, but it's going to be a key lime bistro at the RSW airport.
Oh, that's great.
Yes.
That's fun.
That'll
be a fun place to go before you hit your flight or after.
2025, was thinking maybe November, December.
That's great.
So we're very excited about that too. But it's true that you need to be able to say no to some deals if you don't feel equipped to do it. And I had an offer on a hotel at Vanderbilt Beach, and where the Turtle Club is now. In fact, that's the place.
Yeah.
And but when I looked at the books at the time, and this was way before I ever bought anything on Captiva, so this was many, many years ago, and for what the hotel made in profit, the restaurant lost.
Yeah.
And it was like I didn't have a bunch of partners, and I wasn't independently wealthy. I knew that this had to be a home run.
Yeah.
And so I backed out of it because I in due diligence, I just decided no. I didn't even know if I wanted to rent the restaurant out. I didn't even know what kind of rent you would charge. I mean, that's how naive I was. And so I thought, well, I need to learn.
Yeah.
And then I ended up buying another property, but my path took me to go to Cornell University and their Resort and Hospitality School and their summer program.
Okay.
By that time, I was a single mom. And my parents would watch the boys for a week or two, and then my sister and my brother. I just kind of, then I'd come back for a while, and so it was a summer program. It worked out well.
I was going to ask you, what did you go to college?
Yes, and that was so. Cornell really gave me exactly what I needed, but I wasn't looking for a degree. I was looking for the knowledge. So I went for the certificate program, and they have a very great certificate program.
Some of the most successful people, as we know, didn't go to college. You don't need it. It's like I tell my girls, I mean, yeah, you can go to this big fancy college, but what are you going to do with it? And I know a lot of people that have gone to those big fancy colleges and a lot of people that haven't gone to college and not this is about college, but it's what you do with it. It's how bad you want it. The drive that you have, the passion that you find, that hopefully everyone has here, and hopefully they find it. And I think that's why you've given so much back to Southwest Florida, because you have a passion for Southwest Florida. I know you've owned property on Sanibel and Captiva, so you must have a love for Sanibel and Captiva, especially with everything we've gone through out there over the last couple of years. I mean, to stay in the game out there and to bring those restaurants back and all that, and committed to that, speaks a lot of you.
Oh, well,
a lot of people would have given up.
Well, Captiva is just something. It's a magical place.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Sanibel. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. I've had a home there and lived there.
Yeah.
But Captiva is where my heart is.
Yeah.
And I just really love it. So the little inn that I bought, it was the smallest inn that I couldn't even imagine buying it, but it cash flowed.
Yeah.
And it was just what I wanted. And then it had the restaurant that was there, but I was the landlord to it.
Yeah.
And so I was, at some point, the restaurant wasn't doing very well, and they decided they wanted to sell it. So I was looking at different people coming in that were going to take over the restaurant.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you remember Lags that owned the chain of Hooters.
Yeah.
Yes. And well, we were friends, and so he said, and that was when I was married to Don Stilwell.
Yeah.
And so he said, I'm going to take you. We have a very serious discussion to have. So I said, okay. So we went to a Miami Dolphins football game, and then I know this wasn't very serious going to a football game. What's up? So all of a sudden, halftime, we sit there, and we were in the Hooter booth, with everybody. It was so fun, and. Then he says, now, I know you have that little inn out there on Captiva.
Yeah.
And he says, I've always wanted to have a Hooters on Captiva. And he says, I happen to know that your property, is that's where I want my Hooters.
Yeah.
And he says, but you have a little bed and breakfast inn. And somehow I don't think that you would want me as a tenant. And I said, you're right. You're right. I liked him a lot. He was a great guy and everything, but we did not want to.
And he was a good giver too. Lags was a huge giver and a really nice guy, and people loved him and all that.
Kind heart. So funny. So he said, well, and he says, unless you open a restaurant there, I'm going to rent that place. So and he knew I had gone to Cornell.
Yeah.
So he kind of pushed me into it, which it turned out to be the biggest blessing. And he was one of my mentors is regarding when I had my first restaurant and got up to I think the fifth or sixth one, and then now he's passed on.
Yeah.
But Champ, his partner, is now, we were good friends. And so it kind of plays forward.
You got a lot of great people, like you said, surround yourself and mentor you, and you mentor them. But again, 17, and now here we are today, and you're still at it. What keeps you going?
Oh, drive. I want to make a difference. I really do. And the restaurants to me, it's a challenge. I love being in the restaurants, and I like empowering people, giving them the ability, and then hold them accountable.
Yeah.
And I don't micromanage them, so I enjoy working with people.
Yeah.
And then I enjoy giving to the community and charity. So the two go hand in hand, because we can do food for different events, or and that has been a big help. We can maybe sponsor the champagne at one event, or bring in appetizers for another, like the soup kitchen will be doing the soup kitchen, the key lime pie, So
That's awesome.
it all goes hand in hand.
That's great.
It gives me the avenue.
And it's not just one restaurant. You've got 7, one new one coming. I mean, it's hard to make it with one, and you've been making it with now coming up 7, and I'm sure you're going to have great success with that. So speaks to you as a business leader. That's our next question. Your restaurants have become a staple on Captiva Island. What makes them stand out, and how do you keep them so connected to the community, especially with everything we've had going?
Well, it's been really hard since Hurricane, Ian, as far as Key Lime Bistro being closed.
It is back.
It has been closed now for 2 years and 2 months.
Yeah.
And I was going to have it open by Christmas, but then with the latest Helene and Milton.
We've had Ian, and people forget about Debbie.
Yes.
We've had Debbie, we've had all the Helene, and we've had the Milton. So we've had 4 storms in the last 3 years or 2.5 years. I mean, we've had a lot going on, and it's not easy to get things done on that island.
No, and to get all the permits and everything. But, because mine were historically preserved, we had an extra level of hoops to jump through and everything. And we're on septic out there rather than sewer.
Which is another big hurdle.
A huge hurdle.
People don't think about that kind of stuff.
No, you don't. I just got the variance last week, and we started working on this, quite some time ago, and just now got the variance to be able to put back the system that we had before. It might be a little bit better than what we had before, because technology improves as years go on. But so having Key Lime Bistro back open will be huge for me, because the others we had gotten open, so I only had 2 to go, and then now they've been all closed, and then RC Otters was the first one that opened. Now we just have Sunshine Seafood Cafe open, and we went back to the food truck in front of the cantina again.
I've eaten there many times. Right after those storms, it's out there, and you even serve margaritas.
That's right. Yeah. So.
But sometimes we need those after a hard day's work.
Isn't that the truth? So we're hoping to have by Christmas, the cantina will be back open. And then my restaurant in Boca Grande, it's in the old historic train station.
Which one's that?
It's called, it used to be called the Loose Caboose. It was in it's a elevated, it was the train station.
Yeah.
And so we're at the end of it. Now it's called the Key Lime Bistro with the Loose Caboose ice cream.
Yeah.
And anyway, so that building was built in the 1800s. It's never flooded. It flooded this time.
Yeah.
So right now we had to take every of the cute little stores that were my neighbors.
Yeah.
That it would bring my friends there. We'd go shopping. We have so much. Every single store is out of business right now. And you look down, you see dirt.
Yeah.
That's like they had to take all the flooring, everything out. And then, so I'm hoping that we should be maybe by March, I'm hoping to be open.
Yeah.
If we're really pushing it, maybe February, because the building itself, it was just the flooring and the flooding, and that so we're going to get that back together. But
and that's 5. So because we got 4 up on Captiva, we got Sunshine, we got the Mexican restaurant that you have there,
and and
then RC Otters,
and Lati Da, Coffee, and Key Lime, and then my little inn. So out of the Hurricane Ian, we had to tear down 10 of my cottages. So I have Stevens Construction. He's going to be my contractor.
He's great.
And he is. And so we are probably going to start breaking ground probably within, a couple months.
Yeah.
We're just getting all the bids together right now. So we're real close.
Yeah.
So we're making headway in my shopping center there. That's the 3-story celebration center.
Yeah.
And my rental homes. And then the Bimini Bait Shack, which is before you go to the bridge going over to Sanibel. Yeah, I built that with my partner, Steve Page. And
I never had been there. One day I went there. I'm like going, oh my God, look at the views here. Isn't it a fun place?
Yeah.
And I don't think people, when you go there, you'll see why. And I think it's a great spot.
Yeah, at first, because when we bought the land, then I went up. My sign company, they loaned me their boom truck, so I went on the property and we went up in the boom and went up, but would be 3 stories.
Yeah.
To see where to exactly place the building. And then I was with the engineer.
Yeah.
And so. And that was a little bit environmentally sensitive area that we had to really maneuver that one carefully because we need our mangroves.
Yeah.
And so, you didn't want to impact. So there was no impacting on that, but we did have to do a little bit of mitigation in that we still monitor the wetlands to make sure we pay the Army Corps of Engineers to come in and they do surveying and different things there just to make sure everything is good. But that has turned out to be, even with Ian coming through, we had like the elevator shaft flood and then the little actual bait shack that we had there.
Yeah.
That was wiped out, but the restaurant itself was very much intact.
Yeah. No, that's a great spot there. And like I said, I've been there and fantastic. So we've got those. And so that would be 6 right there. And then you've got a 7th.
Yeah. And then then I have the Boca Grande and then the airport. So that would be the airport location.
And I'm sure there's probably going to be another 1 or 2 coming up. Yeah. Not that we're going to get into USEPA, but I know that was something that you were trying to make happen. And you have a love for USEPA, whether you own it or not. It doesn't matter. You just love this area. And that was your interest with USEPA. Anything on that? Mm-hmm.
I still am talking. As a matter of fact, as of yesterday, there's a group of people that really want me to be there.
Yeah.
The thing is there is a group of people that don't want to see any further development.
Yeah.
And, if you're going to pay that kind of money for an island, you need to be able to pay the bills.
And make it make sense.
And so the only way to pay the bills would be to do some weddings and special events. And I wanted to put a spa in.
Yeah.
Another big pool closer to the docks so that the club members, because my husband and I, we're club members.
Yeah.
You can go and you pay a membership.
Yeah.
And then there's the residents. But it really shouldn't be like one side against the other. We're all in it together because the island wouldn't be able to exist without the club members and vice versa.
When I heard your interest in that, I was like, awesome. Because I was like, that place could be, it's already special. It's amazing. But I think it's time for someone else to come in and just bring it up that much more. And it doesn't mean it has to be something so different, but I think there's so much more potential there too. I mean, that's world class.
It is world class.
World class. We have world class places like that in our neighborhood here in Little Southwest Florida, Fort Myers, Boquilla, Matlacha, Sanibel, Captiva. We've got some of the best waterways and scenery and all that in all of Florida. It's special. It's special. Yeah. One of the most special places even in our country. And I think that's what we have to get back to as far as Southwest Florida, people that live here is, we've had these storms and we've all been affected by that so much, whether it be in business or our personal properties like you have. You've had both. And this has been almost like a form of grief because we've lost so much, but we have so much of a future ahead of us. And the things that you come here for are still here. They've never left us. And we just have to think about that more and be blessed and thankful for what we do have because our waters, our people, our beaches, our nature, our wildlife, everything about Southwest Florida is still here. And I think we have to promote that so much more now going forward.
I think so.
We do have a lot of development that needs to take place and put back. But I think the future is very bright for Southwest Florida. And as long as we have people like you in it, I think it'll just come back and it'll come back that much stronger. So next question. You've had a huge impact with Pace Center for Girls, hoping to open a school and pay off its construction debt. What drew you to this organization, and what makes it so special to you?
Well, with Pace Center for Girls, it was my friend Gail Markham.
Yeah.
And she had been a friend of mine for a number of years. I got to know her and respect her.
Yeah.
I value her opinion on so many things.
Yeah.
At so many different levels. I can't even speak more about her. And I was in Rotary with her, and they wanted to get a board of directors together for Pace. And at the time, I was the president of the Salvation Army, and I was really, at my limit with what I could do. And I said, I really love what you're doing, and someday I want to be involved. I just can't be quite yet.
Yeah.
And so I kept it on my radar because I love the mission.
Yeah.
And they take, girls that are just going through maybe a little difficult time during their teenage years.
Yeah.
Or early, adolescence, they will take them as early as 12,
Yeah.
right? But usually it's, 13 to 16, but sometimes they're as old as, 17, 18 by the time they get through school. And we just put them in a girls' school and give them a counselor, which is the most important thing out of everything, because if they're hurting inside and they act out in different ways. And so by healing their insides and their soul, helping them, whatever trauma that they've had in their life. Those girls have either their parents are in jail, or there's been some sort of trauma. They've gone through. And we put them in a very loving environment with only the maximum, I think, is 63 girls that we take. So it's a small environment, a loving environment. And in some cases, the girls, they can get back on track in a very short period of time and go right back to their school again.
Yeah.
Some, they try to go back to their school and find that they don't like it. They want to come back and they graduate from our school too, which is so the success rate is like in the high 90s of girls never getting into trouble ever again. And that's a good value.
I've been through their program. I've walked through. Who was the CEO before Jenny?
Meg Geltner.
She was she's an amazing lady.
Yes.
And she took me for a tour through that whole thing. And, I was with Valerie's house and working with them and volunteering. And that's what's been, a blessing for me, is to understand these other nonprofits. And a lot of them work together. So Pace works with Valerie's house. They both work together because some of our kids go to Pace and Pace to ours. And that's what's the beauty of some of these nonprofits. We work together.
It's so true.
And they intermingle together, and they've got great leaders. Incredible leaders with Jenny and Meg and Angela Melvin and people like yourself. Just incredible leaders as women, as people. Again, father of 3 girls. So I bring up people like yourself and Angela and Jenny and Meg and a lot of other great women, Gail Markham, that have been huge success in whatever they do. And you're just such a inspiration for people. And with the Pace Center for Girls and what you've done there, what else there? What else would you like to talk about with Pace Center?
Well, Gail was the first president. I was the second president.
Yeah.
And when we had been trying to find a location, we were in a rented location.
Yeah.
And then we would find a new location and say, this has real possibility. But we didn't have enough money to close on the deal. And so at one point, we were close, but not close enough.
Yeah.
And so we were able to talk to the national headquarters and say, hey, we need a line of credit. And I said, I'll personally sign on the thing. We need it. That we have this. We've got the school. This is the way it's going to, work. And as it turned out, because people, they gave to a certain point, but then they actually wanted to see where the building's going to be. What are they actually? What bricks and mortar are we doing? And the minute that they allowed us to have the line of credit that we were doing, I don't even think we drew but a little bit down at one point, but the money then came in. And I was one of those people that I don't really want to ask directly, especially not to my friends.
It's tough.
And there I had friends coming to me and say, Sandy, I know you're trying to raise money. What do you need?
Yeah.
And they were some of my bigger givers, and they came to me, which was really, it really speaks of what a great program that it is.
Yeah.
And then I had the pleasure of actually offering Meg the job of being the executive director because we had a different executive director. And she used to be, and she was 29 years with the Salvation Army. So she knew how to navigate through juvenile justice and all the Department of Corrections and all the things that the Salvation Army, it's a big organization, a lot of staff. She knew how to do those type of things. And so I went to bat and again, went to National and talked to Mary Marks, who was the CEO, and said, she's actually overqualified for the position. And she doesn't want your position. She wants to stay here in Southwest Florida, and I said, she's going to make you look good. And, and Mary Marks, we're pretty close. And to this day, she said that was like her best hire because.
Yeah, she was there for a while. Matt was there for a while, right?
Yes, she was.
Yeah,
so she decided to retire. Yes.
That's what's amazing. And again, until my involvement with Valerie's House, and I think this is most people in Southwest Florida or wherever, they don't understand what goes into these programs. It's like I was saying last night, I was at an event with Angela down in Naples, representing Valerie's House. And it's like I was explaining to people, they were like, what's Valerie's House? And I was like, it's a place where we, grieve over the loss of a loved one. And this is where these people go every day. And they go to work every day. Hey, let's deal with grief. Hey, let's deal with Pace Center of Girls and the girls that are needing that program. I mean, so much fun. A lot that people have to deal with to go into that workplace every day and to see and do what they do. I'm a very big advocate of paying people, especially in that type of field, because it's incredible. It's incredible in what these people carry. I have to carry, Angela has to carry, you have to carry. You were one of the founders of that PACE here in Southwest Florida that ran it before Meg and brought in Meg. And what you have to carry, what those kids and those families are going through every day, it's tough. It's tough. So you being in business and then going to that part in your life of giving back and being part of these nonprofits and programs, it's amazing. It's a lot. You could just be in business if you wanted to.
Yes.
And be happy but you give it all to Southwest Florida.
Thank you. And you do too. And the thing is I think we probably have this in common, that, you can put all kinds of deals together in business, but you're not going to take that with you. And you want to make some kind of impact in a positive way and make some change. And that's what I try to do.
Well, and you've done it. You've done it, and we appreciate you here in Southwest Florida. What's your vision for improving hospice care in Southwest Florida, and how can the community support these efforts?
Well, Hope Hospice, that is yet a totally different charity because it's an end-of-life charity. But I don't think there's probably anybody that has lived in Southwest Florida that has lost somebody that maybe haven't been impacted in some way with the services of Hope Hospice.
Oh, yeah. Great.
And it's such an extensive program. They even have a very large Parkinson's disease program for people that are going and navigating through Parkinson's disease.
Yeah.
So much is about the eating properly, exercising properly, and so on. And people wouldn't even connect that Hope Hospice does that, but there are many different areas. But most recently, we merged with a large company that's called Chapters.
Okay.
And it is actually, it is a non-for-profit, and it is the largest non-for-profit hospice care. I was just in a board meeting in the world.
Really?
Yeah, and they're huge in the Southeast United States, but it is a large organization. So the decision locally was to affiliate because there's great volume.
Yeah.
So the synergy and the economy of scale of being a part of a large organization has really proven to be very effective. You would not know that there was anything different because we still are Hope Hospice.
Yeah.
It's just that we have a national affiliate, and I'm on their board as well.
That's great.
And and it really is because when you're buying health insurance, supplies or whatever, you wouldn't think that there would be that much difference, but there really is.
Yeah.
And you can consolidate things.
Yeah.
And so it's been a really great change, but we still need to get the whole hospice one at Health Park.
Yeah.
That one is not open yet. That was still severely hurt with
From
Ian.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that has been closed down. We've been sending people to, either the Bonita Springs, Cape Coral, the different campuses. But that is one that there is a need there to raise some money. And so we're just coming up with a plan this next year of how we're going to do that.
How'd you get involved with Hope Hospice? I mean, you had leaders like Samira there, right?
Yes. And Samira is my good friend, and a Rotarian.
Yeah.
And she also approached me when, and I said, okay, I had to wait until I was filtering off other boards because, I've been president of the Ronald McDonald House and helped build that. And Southwest Florida Children's Charities, which is the Wine Fest.
Yeah.
I was the president of that. And, there's only so much time, so I only take on like being president of something one at a time, not multiple.
Doesn't sound like it.
Yeah. And, but I might be on their boards, and I love the boards that are like quarterly. And that way you get all your financials monthly.
Yeah.
But and so it's time management. It really is.
Yeah.
And the one thing about COVID, we did learn how to do a lot of Zoom meetings.
Yeah.
And we can save a lot of time driving back and forth, which is nice. You don't get the same FaceTime with people that you would like to have. But, if you do it right, you can still have some meetings in person and some
That's great.
Zoom. Yeah.
And not only on a local level, a national level that you serve to for these groups like PACE and the one we just mentioned, Hope Hospice. You've served on so many boards, including Lee Mental Health, Uncommon Friends, which I don't know if a lot of people understand what that is, Uncommon Friends Foundation, the Players Circle Theater. What drives you to get involved in such a wide variety of causes?
Well, that's, the Horizon Council and the Horizon Foundation, I'm on the board of that. And that's basically a branch of Lee County Economic Development.
Yeah.
And as we're trying to get large corporations, and we need to have a very diverse business. And the economy here shouldn't be all about real estate, and it shouldn't be all about hotels and tourism or all, so we needed to have technology. There's, construction was huge, but then when we went through the construction downturn, wow, everybody felt it. There have been times, so you need to get and reach out to big companies. And so bringing in Hertz for their national headquarters and the Amazon and all the things. There are lots of things on the books that we can't even talk about, but there's a lot of work and effort being to bring in people here. And because people love, they love our nice, because we're, Southwest Florida, it's more friendly here than the other coast. I have to say, I love the other coast, and there's a lot of shopping, a lot of great things. So to each his own, everybody, but there are a lot of people that love the nature of here. And our school system is improving all the time. And so part of it is also arts and culture. So you wouldn't think that Player Circle arts, and I was with Florida Repertory Theater and some of the things that are art, but that also is part of what a company looks for when they're thinking of coming here.
Yeah.
They look at that, and it is an important part of our community.
Yeah. Do you see more of that coming?
Yes.
I think that's really important.
Yes.
I think it's very important, like you said. I know you're involved with a lot of construction, you and Tim and the Youngquist, all that, the name. And I know they've got a lot going on, don't they, with construction and all that out by the airport and all that.
Yes.
So really fun to see and exciting to see, because like you've been here since you were 2.5, and I've been here since I was 3, and you've just seen so much growth. But like you said, it's different here. It's more real. I think Southwest Florida, Lee County, Fort Myers, it's real. I mean, you could live anywhere you want, and you choose to live here in Fort Myers and still give back and be part. And, it's just that's the kind of people I think that live here. Yeah, we've got new people coming in, but those people that have been here for a long time, they have not been forgotten. Mm-hmm. And they're such a still huge part of this community and respected and still part of. So you've been part of that. As far as someone who has lived in Southwest Florida for most of your life, what are some of the biggest changes you've seen in our community, and what excites you the most about our future?
Well, I would say the waters. Okay. And, it was rather unusual because, we've had red tide over the years of my life here. We've occasionally would have red tide here and there, but we were getting it more often. And then we had the whole episode of the green algae.
Yeah, the water quality years ago.
Yes.
Really.
was horrible. And I remember that that we felt it in all of the Fort Myers, Cape Coral, North Fort Myers, Sanibel, Captiva. Bonita maybe didn't get it much, and Naples really never.
Not at all.
Not at all. And so when you would talk, and I do remember that when Francis Rooney was running for congressman, at the time he had been a diplomat, and I really respect him, and I knew him from the Naples Winter Wine Festival and his wife, and he reached out that he was running for Congress, and then he asked, what is the biggest single thing? And I said, water quality.
Yeah.
And then he said, well, let me learn more about it, because you know what? He was from Naples, and it wasn't like first and foremost.
Yeah, it wasn't an issue
at all.
To look at.
And, I hate to say it, but probably the biggest blessing for us getting some control on this coast was the fact that it did work its way down to Naples, and Naples have a lot of strong, big voices out there.
Influential people down there.
Very, very much so. And what Congressman Rooney was able to do are some huge strides to help us. And then Captains for Clean Waters and all. But there, if you remember the Valaquettes on Sanibel, they had that small pure wire right there, pure coast, and there were many. Yes, and he was great. I actually bought his house in Sanibel. And so there were a lot of voices for very, very many years that people have long forgotten about, but the water quality issue. So now I think we are actually making some great strides. And with the sea level change, they're really, let's face it, when we have high tides, they're higher than ever before.
Yeah.
We flood now regularly as compared to just once in a while.
Yeah.
So it's made us all start looking very seriously about what's the plan looking forward.
Yeah.
And I think it's an important voice, and it can be done.
It can.
There's absolutely can be done. We just have to all get our voices together and decide probably to tax ourselves, maybe get some federal money.
Yeah.
But we just have to prioritize. Like on Captiva, we have the Captiva Erosion Prevention District. We tax ourselves to keep our beaches. But our property values, look at the property value on Captiva. I have a feeling it has to do with our beaches being strong.
It does. I was with a gentleman the other day, an old family on that island, and big time giver. And he showed me pictures back in 80, 81 when they bought the property, when they bought the family property, beautiful property on the Gold Coast of Captiva. And he showed me the pictures and the boulders out on the beach, and there really wasn't much beach. But then we started doing the restoration, the beach renourishment every 7 to 10 years when it's needed. Huge value. And what saves those beaches is that renourishment and how they've built those beaches up to act as a, preserve and barrier for that flooding. Because we didn't experience the flooding from Ian as much. We did on the last one, Milton, a little bit more just because of the direction. But we'll bounce back. We'll get better at these things. And new construction, new codes, all that stuff works. So you're right. Our water quality is very important. And I think our area, because it is a little bit more environmental sensitive. I think the people within, we're going to have development, but I think we're a little bit more concerned with our environment. I don't want to say the other coast doesn't, but a lot more development over there, as we all know. And I don't think they have what we have over on this side of the coast and what we stand for. And I think that's why people love it so much. You've built an incredible legacy as both a business leader and philanthropist. What advice would you give to a young entrepreneur, young entrepreneurs, or anyone looking to leave a positive mark on the community?
Well, you just gave me a perfect entree into my book that I'm writing, and it's soon to be published.
That's awesome.
And yes, it's called The Resilient Spirit. And being the position that I've been in, I've had to become very resilient, and entrepreneurs are known for that, you know. And the tagline, we're just fine-tuning it right now. And but what it is, and it's been written for the person that's thinking about being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And one of the people that wrote the foreword in the book is Dr. Ashigal Timur she's the president of Florida Gulf Coast University.
Yeah.
And their youngest graduating student His name is Gabriel Penton, and I mentored him from the time that I taught a class at Cape Coral High School for junior achievement on entrepreneurial. And so we met, and he wanted my cell phone, and I started meeting with him. And so he has made me so proud. He was the youngest student to enroll, and he is now graduating. And he fast-tracked, like, within 2 years to graduate with a 4-year degree. And in Florida Gulf Coast University has the whole entrepreneur school as well. And so part of the book is I have Brian Rist in it. Scott Fisher from Harley Davidson, he's in it.
Great, man.
So I have quite a few. Donna Whalen, that owns the Naples Soap Company, and Earl and Colleen Quinsell, they always help me with my marketing.
Colleen.
And they have navigated through good times and bad, because when we have hurricanes and everything shuts down, people stop advertising. It's everything. Magazines,
We're all affected.
Yes, newspapers, everybody. We're all affected in one way or another. And so it's not just a book about me. It's a book about the common threads that we all have as entrepreneurs. And it's also a step-by-step of things to watch out for. And, because, again, not every day is going to be a perfect day.
Yeah.
And expect things to go wrong. Don't be blindsided when they go wrong. It's just all part of the day.
Yeah, that's amazing, Sandy. That's great. I can't wait to read that book.
Thank you.
I don't read a lot of books, but I'll read that one. And I'll give that to a lot of people, I promise. Finally, what's next for you, Sandy? Are there any new projects or goals? We talked about the one next project at the airport you're excited about. So,
well, I just moved my grandson here, and he was raised on Maui. And so he always comes see Grandma. I'd go fly and see him, or they would come here. And he's now 21 years old. And with his last hurricane after Ian, he saw, how much work, and he'd been back and forth a couple times. And he said, "Would you like me to come and work for you? I think I'd like to work with you." And I said, "I would love for you." Well, then we had it scheduled. And then with this newest 2 hurricanes that really impacted us, because Debbie, we flooded a little bit, but it was quick for us. And Helene, we got a little bit, but Milton, we got a bit. Sure. Yeah. And so they have now moved here, and I'm mentoring him and training the business. I told him, I said, the end plan might be that I sell them all. I don't know what my end plan is, but I will teach you the restaurant business, and I will teach you, and because it could be that we take the Key Lime Bistro name into a franchise. I have no clue. It could happen.
Could happen. Easy. Great name.
Yes. So to have somebody there that is, in the business with me, and being my grandson is it's just a great feeling.
Key Lime Bistro could be anywhere.
It could be.
Fort Myers Beach.
Yes.
Especially here in Florida, everywhere.
Yes.
So
that's true.
What are some things that most people wouldn't know about you? That's an interesting question. That wouldn't know about you. What do you do in your free time? I know you like to go out on the boat.
I do love to go boating. I've always
like to go to USEPA.
I do. Yeah, I really love the water. It's just, and the beach, just to walk on the beach, it seems like all your cares go away. And so I love that. And I really have on the horizon, I would love to be able to see USEPA Island restored back to its original beauty. And whether I'm an owner of it or whether I just continue being a club member of it and watch it. But I've been helping them navigate through some of these uncertain times. And because, I don't really have to be the owner at all. I mean, life is not, happiness is not derived by what you own. It's finding fulfillment in life. And I just look at that beautiful Collier Inn and all the rich history, and I want to see it restored to where it should be. And I'd love to see the island, but they've been working on the Pink Path now. It's getting better all the time, but with the hurricane, all the docks got wiped out.
I saw
Then they had to tear down the whole tarpon bar, which I was going to be restoring, but it was too severely damaged. And so now we'll see how it comes. But that, to me, I'd love to see.
Beautiful place. It's so special. It really is. I joined not too long ago, and I love going out there. I've been here all my life, and pretty much like you since I was 3, and never got on the water until about 3 years ago. I sold it to people, and I told them how great it was, but I never really experienced it. I never got on a boat. I never had a boat. I never went out on the boat with friends. I didn't fish, and I still don't fish. But now I've fallen in love with Southwest Florida all over again. And it's all because of that water, USEPA, Cape Costa, all our beaches, our nature, all that. And that's what's so special about it. Anything else that people might not know about you?
Oh, I don't think so. No, just
So that's pretty much the end of our podcast.
great.
And I just want to thank you, Sandy, for everything you do for Southwest Florida, because I don't think people really realize what you've done for our community, what you continue to do for our community, everything that you've given back. And it's not just about writing the check. It's about being a leader and an inspiration, an advocate for everything that you've been involved with and everything that Southwest Florida stands for. And you're one of those great leaders we have in Southwest Florida, and we thank you so much. And it's been a pleasure to have you on this podcast. And thank you for coming in.
Oh, you're welcome. It was my pleasure.
Thanks, Sandy.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.